All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about winning the fall. All right, how to win the fall. The fall is a very impactful time. And so I want to show you and give you some strategies, some ideas to make sure that this is a really impactful time for the year. Here's one of the things to really be aware of and really understand is that we want to take advantage of what I like to call the second new year. The second new year. And here's why I call it that. The fall is a time when people are rethinking their lives and they're rethinking their priorities in a similar way to when they do it in January at the beginning of the year, right? In the new year, we call it New Year's resolution, right? And people do the same thing for the second half of the year. And so what we want to do is that we want to take advantage of this natural break that people have. Years ago when I was a church planner, I pastored on a college campus. I discovered this, and here's how I discovered it. Because I discovered that universities and colleges, they treat January and September or August at the beginning of the fall, both of them are fresh starts for the new year. You have new students coming in for both of them. You have new focuses for even the people who have been there before, all of that. And so we literally used to do watch night service twice a year. And when I tell you it was the dopest thing we ever did, and now that I'm saying that, I'm sitting here wondering, why ain't I doing that no more? Like, why am I not doing that? Like, that is like the most bomb idea. Hold on, let me write this down real quick. Because I'm telling, we used to do a new year, like a watch night service. And depending on your church culture, that watch night service is usually one of the like most lit, strongest services of the year because people are so focused on giving God that first part. And I'm telling you, man, I'm sitting here wondering why I'm not doing that for us, because it would be so beneficial. All right. But let me keep going. But think about how your church will help people make wise kingdom choices going into the second part of the year. All right. Thinking about how to do that to make sure that people are maximizing the time of the year. You know what people do when they do New Year's resolution. You see it there on the screen. They're thinking about what bad thing do I want to stop doing? What good thing do I want to start doing? What do I want to change about who I am? What things do I want to do more of? How do I want to feel? What do I want to focus on? What do I want to prioritize? People are thinking about those things right now. And so we want to take advantage of the second new year. And a part of taking advantage of the second new year is going to be casting vision about some of the things that I'm going to share with you tonight and some of the things that you would come away with. All right. So really what I want to do is I want to be really, really practical. I want to give you 5 things that I want to challenge you to begin to think about and plan for the new year. 5 things I want to challenge you to begin to think about and plan for the new year. All right. Here's an overview of those 5 things, and I'm going to walk through them in detail. Number 1, planning a church prayer campaign. Number 2, planning an educator's commissioning service. Number 3, planning a vision night. Number 4, a beast feast. And number 5, what I call an APES training. All right. And so I'm going to walk you through all of this. I'm going to give you the details for it. And because I'm going to be doing these things that I'm challenging you to do, when I create the resources, I'm going to share the resources with you. I'm going to put them in your members area. And so we put together some of the stuff I'm talking about. I'm going to make it available to you, but you've got to start planning it with and for your team and your church, right? You've got to go ahead and start thinking about pulling this together, pulling your team in on it, letting them know what's going on. All right. So let's talk about this. Number 1, first thing, host a church prayer campaign. All right. When I talk about a church campaign, prayer campaign, what I'm talking about is having a focused time where you are bringing together all of the people in your church to put their attention and their focus on prayer for a set amount of time, right? And not only are you putting their attention on prayer, you're having them pray at the same times and about the same things, right? You're creating this unity, like this Psalms 133 moment in the church as you're bringing people together to pray, all right? So let's talk about this from a spiritual stance for a minute. If the church is going to be strong, it has to pray. I think it was Leonard Ravenhill who said the church is dying on its feet because it refuses to live on its knees. We have got to bring people back to prayer. I grew up in an era, I know I'm only 38 years old, but I grew up in an era where the church prayer meeting was a thing, man. And people showed up to pray, and people came to just pray and just go before the Lord. And I was there reluctantly. I was a kid. I didn't want to be there. But because I was there, I saw the power of it. Even when we planted our first church, we used to host something we called prayer night once a month, where we'd invite everybody in. We come in, I teach for about 10 or 15 minutes about what we were going to be praying for. And then we dim the lights, turn some music up, and we just tell people, hey, look, go find you a spot and just pray. And as the Lord leads, I'll come around and pray with people. We'll have a team up on the altar that might pray with people. As I might go tap leaders on the shoulder to lead prayer from the microphone. But people pray. And I'm telling you, the greatest moments we ever saw came out of prayer. And so we have to come back to prayer. Jesus said that this will be called a house of prayer. A house of prayer. We've got to pull people back to prayer. And here's the other thing about it, because I want to also give this caveat because it's so important. Even when we plan prayer events and people don't support it, we still got to do it. If it's just us in there by ourselves, we still got to do it. Because we cannot let it be said that we allow people to move us away from God's agenda. And so we need to so I want to challenge you to host a church prayer campaign. Here's what this will look like, right? You're going to plan 30 days of focused prayer, right? And you may call it 30 days of prayer. You put whatever name you want to put to it, all right? You can call it the seek. You can call it the pursuit. You can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it going after God, but it's going to be your 30-day prayer campaign, all right? And so with this 30-day prayer campaign, what we're going to do is that we're going to put together a list of scriptures that our church is going to read through together, basically a Bible reading plan that our church is going to read and pray through together for 30 days, right? And you can create this. You don't have to create this. We did something like this earlier this year. We did it for 21 days, and we created a custom ebook with devotionals and fast and all that kind of stuff in it. You can do that, but this can be as simple as just typing out a list of like just breaking the book of John into 30 days, right? Or just doing 21 days in John at a chapter a day, or and then adding 9 more days to it. But the whole point is that we want everybody in our church reading the same scriptures for 30 days. All right. Number 2, as you're doing this, you need to preach through prayers in the New Testament. All right. I'm going to be doing this in October, and I'm doing a series called Dangerous Prayers. And so in this series called Dangerous Prayers, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking at prayers that Jesus and Paul and Peter and these other leaders prayed. And I'm going to talk about how dangerous those prayers are, because when we pray, God responds. And so for example, my topic for one of those services might be, Lord, use me, right? That's a dangerous prayer, because when you pray, Lord, use you, now you've got to structure your life and prepare your life for God to interrupt your plans, right? And so what I'm saying to you is preach through the New Testament as you do this, all right? Another part of this is, as you walk through this week of prayer, as you walk through this 30-day prayer campaign, the final week of that campaign, you want to do 7 nights of prayer, a week of prayer, all right? Here's what a week of prayer is. It's literally just saying every night we're going to pray for 1 hour at 7:00 p.m., right? And we're asking everybody in the church to commit, for all of us to commit to making the sacrifice or making the commitment to pray and to gather at church in person together to pray every night at 7 p.m. for 1 week, right? It really is going to end up being 6 days, because you're going to start the journey on that Sunday, and then Monday through Saturday, you'll meet at 7 p.m. and then you'll end the journey in that main service your next Sunday, all right? And so here's how we want to make this impactful. That week of prayer every night should be led by a different ministry or a different team. All right. So you could say, all right, on Monday, prayer is going to be led by the men's ministry. On Tuesday, it's going to be led by the women's ministry. On Wednesday, it's going to be led by the youth group. On Thursday, it's going to be led by the worship team. On Friday, it's going to be led by the deacons or our associate or assistant pastors or elders in training. On Saturday is going to be led by whoever, but you're going to lay it out. And what you're doing is when I say that they're leading it, as everybody is praying around the building, because we're not just sitting around watching them pray, but as people are walking around your sanctuary praying, as they're sitting in chairs praying, as they're kneeled on the altar praying, that group who's leading it are going to be the ones who are praying from the microphone, right? And so really what those nights should sound like is they should sound like a room just filled with the sound of prayer, because everybody is praying in their own space, in their own time. And I teach and I coach, we pray out loud when we do this, right? We're not just praying silently, we pray out loud. We pray aloud as we walk through this. And so you want to design and designate those different groups and then close big on that Sunday. On that Sunday, you might close with a 20-minute sermon on prayer, but then 15 minutes of, all right, I want everybody in the room. We're going to do some switches. Matter of fact, I did this a couple of weeks ago. I preached on prayer and I said, all right, everybody stand up for me. All right, I want you to grab your partner. Grab somebody, grab your partner real quick. I said, all right, cool. Look on the screen. I put 4 prayers on the screen. I said, I want you to take 5 minutes and pray. Ask them which one of these they need and pray this prayer with them. I did that in the middle of service, all right? We can't be afraid to rethink what church looks like, right? We got to let go of some of the production value of church in a sense of everything has to be tight and perfect and orderly. Like this, the church in this dispensation has to be willing to come outside of the box and care more about the fact that people get what they need versus people think we're perfect and organized in our presentation. And so I've started to make it a part of my values now to include an interactive moment in the service for people to actually practice what I'm teaching them. And so I had them pray with somebody for 5 minutes and I said, hey, look, go find somebody else, same thing. And it was a beautiful thing, man. People walking across the church to people that they didn't know, they never talked to, and they're praying with them. It was amazing things, right? And so the first thing that I want you to be thinking about and taking some notes about is planning to host a church prayer campaign, all right? Real quick, in the chat, give me some feedback on that. Is that a good idea? Is that a great idea? Are you not sure about it? Just give me something in the chat. Give me some feedback real quick. Just say, hey, look, we're doing this. We're all in. We ready to make it happen. Give me something in the chat real quick as I go on to the next one, just to let me know that you're with me and you're tracking with what I'm saying on the church prayer campaign. All right. Pastor Hayes says it's a great idea. All right. Awesome. Beautiful. Love it. All right. Keep giving me your comments. I'm going to go to the next one, but I want you to keep giving me this. I want to hear from you how you see this idea. And I know y'all can't see each other's comments because you all are responding to me, and that's okay. But I hear you. All right. Pastor Ian says it's dope. Pastor Anderson says they just finished a month of prayer. So with the leaders, so this will be great for the men. Okay, awesome. All right, let's keep on rolling. Number 2, and this is a really good one. This is a really good one. You need to plan a school commissioning service. All right. Our schools are under attack. We are seeing these school shootings. We are seeing all this other stuff, right? And it is absolutely horrible. It's demonic. It's deplorable that we have to be concerned for our children when they go to school. All right. That is just absolutely terrible that that's a thing that we have to be worried about. All right. Now, that being said, here is the opportunity for the church to step up and be a part of the solution, is by saying we're going to host a school commissioning service. How many schools will say no to you praying for them in this current climate? Not many, right? And so here's what we're saying. Here's what I'm saying with this whole idea about planning a school commissioning service, all right? Number 1, I want you to consider the first week of August, right? Because I know that's about the time that people are going back to school. So this year for us is August 7th. But consider the first week of August as a time to host this prayer service. And this is just going to be a part of your regular Sunday service, all right? So it's going to be your regular Sunday service, and this is going to be a special event within your regular Sunday service, all right? Because a part of the goal here is to get the people who are connected with these schools connected with the church, because that's the long game. Like the long game is, yes, let's pray over the school, but the long game is let's have people in the schools who know how to pray over the schools. And a part of being able to build that is having those people connect with your church, right? So consider the first Sunday. The second thing is you're going to invite every person who works in or around the school. I'm talking about teachers, principals, assistant principals, counselors, custodial staff, lunchroom staff, support people, everything. Anybody who works in and around the school, you want to invite them to a day where you're saying, hey, look, let's cover your school in prayer, right? Because you're going to be very specific with this. And I'm going to show you how in a second, all right? So here's the third thing, is that you need to research the schools that are in 20 minutes of your church. Elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, private schools, charter schools, whatever, right? College, university. Research the schools that are within 20 minutes of your church, okay? You're going to research them, and you're going to find out where they are, all right? And when you research them, now you're going to go and schedule a meeting to go and meet with the principal. You're going to introduce them, let them know who you are, let them know about the church you lead, let them know, ask them questions about how you can support them, about what they need, what the gaps are in the school. And a part of that conversation, you're going to say, hey, look, we've been watching what's been happening in schools, man, and we just don't want to stand idly by and see this happen. And so on Sunday, August 7th, we're going to be praying for schools. We're going to be doing a commissioning service where we're going to pray over teachers. We're going to pray over students. We're going to pray over everybody who's involved in the schools. And we've identified you all as one of the schools that we want to focus on. And so I just want to formally invite you, your staff, all of your teachers to join us on that Sunday. And we just want to pray over you. We literally want to bring our prayer team together, and we want to pray over you and your team. If you all can come, I'll call you up. I'll ask you to just introduce yourself and just share your heart for the school and the students and things of that nature. And then I'll have you bring up your team, your teachers, your staff, whatever it is. And when we bring them up, we're going to bring our team around them. And we're literally just going to pray over you guys and just bless you in prayer for a few moments to just let you know that we're here to support you. And we want to have a relationship with you going forward. Listen to me, man, if you could do this and you can make this happen, you could have such a huge impact on these people. I have discovered that most schools are ignored by churches around them. I went to a school last year that had a student commit suicide. And I went up to the school and I asked one of the teachers, hey, look, man, how can I support y'all? And she looked at me and just started crying. And I was like, hey, what's wrong? She was like, we've lost 4 students in the last 3 years, and you're the first church to ever come and ask us what we need and how you can help. And you know what was crazy? At the time, they had a church meeting in their auditorium every Sunday, renting their building. And nobody was asking them, how can we help? How can we support? I'm telling you, this can be a big thing. One final thing about this one is that you want to have some kind of prayer or affirmation sheet that you can put in their hands for them to take home when they leave, right? This is just a rule of thumb. When new people come to visit your church, you never want them to leave empty-handed, right? You never want them to leave empty-handed. Put something in their hands. Like the old school church used to do this and didn't even realize it, because we used to print programs back in the day. And how many people kept those programs in their Bibles forever? Because you can take notes on your program, you can write on your program. How many people kept notes in their Bible forever? And when they open their Bible, they're reminded of the experience that they had at that church. And they're more likely to say, you know what, man, let me go back and visit them again, or let me go be a part of this. I need to do this. All right. So plan a school commissioning service so that you can pray for, with, over all of the people who are there at the schools around your church. All right. Super important, simple, but something that I believe has the ability to make an absolutely monumental impact on the church. All right. So how was that one? Give me y'all feedback on that one. How was that one? How was that idea? How was that thought? Is this one you can get behind, you can make happen? Um, listen, for us here locally, where we are, I can't do schools within 20 minutes because it would be too many because I'm in a city that's super concentrated. But I'm sitting here looking at this and I'm like, man, I know of at least 10 schools that we can invite to be a part of this. And so I think it's going to be a huge, huge, huge thing. And I'm going to partner it with the start of a new series for us. We're starting a new series that's going to be on devotional life. And so I'm thinking about either calling it Sacred Rhythms. I'm thinking about calling it 24/7, how to live as an everyday Christian. Or I'm thinking about maybe like More Than Sunday or something like that. Because there's this new thing going around. Well, it's not new, but there's this slogan kind of more than an athlete, where athletes are saying, no, we have a right to share our thoughts and our opinions on political matters and stuff like that. And they're basically saying, look, I'm not just an athlete, I'm a citizen of the country. Like I'm a citizen, so I get to talk about the issues. And so I'm looking at that and going like, how do we do that? Is it more than a tender or more than something like that? But just be thinking about how you can partner with it so that when they come, you make that day about them, but you start a new series so that you can say, hey, look, join us next week for part 2 of this series. We want to continue on. All right. So that's planning a commissioning service. Pastor Hayes said, I'm planning in my mind right now. I love it. All right. Number 3, third thing you want to do is you want to plan a vision night. You want to plan a vision night. All right. And I want you to lock into what I'm saying, because this vision night is going to be different than a traditional vision night that sometimes we like to do. All right, hold on one second. All right, sometimes we do vision night. We basically bring people in and we do cast a vision, but they spend just most of the time listening to us preach or teach or cast a vision, whatever it is. So I want to give you another strategy. And this is a strategy that I've seen work several times before. It's a really simple idea, but it's really impactful. So here's what you want to do. You want your vision night to really, at its heart, be a round robin style volunteer recruitment and training, right? You are doing an undercover volunteer training for vision night. Here's what this looks like. So you're going to come to, say, your facility, and everybody's facility is different. So you tweak this idea to fit your facility, all right? And so in our facility, it's made like a circle, right? So we've got these different rooms. It used to be a restaurant. So you can walk out of one door, walk into another room, and just keep on going. And eventually you'll come back to the main building, the main sanctuary. So what we were going to do is we're going to take 5 rooms in our church, and we're going to rotate between those 5 rooms. Right? You can either rotate the congregation or you can rotate the teachers, whatever you want, right? But what you're going to do is you're going to highlight 5 teams that you really want to build for the fall. 5 teams, right? You may say, I really want to invest in our worship department, in our media team, in our hospitality team, in our children's ministry, and in our youth group, right? You may say those 5 areas are where I want to invest or where I want to focus. And so you take those 5 areas and you designate those rooms for those 5 areas, right? And so literally you say to people, when people come in at the beginning of the night, they gather in one big room. You may have one worship song if you need to, or just better yet, have some music playing over the speaker. Once it's done, somebody open up service like, hey, so glad to be here for y'all to be here tonight. This is not the senior leader, by the way, somebody different. It can be your spouse, it can be some other leaders, it could be whatever, just not you, right? And so, hey, look, so glad to have y'all here tonight for Vision Night. Listen, tonight you're going to hear about what God is doing in our church and how you can be a part of it. You're going to have a chance to really think through how you're going to help us make a kingdom impact in our city, all right? And so here's how the night is going to work. We have 5 different rooms designated across the building, and we're going to walk you to those rooms. And you're only going to get to stay in those rooms for 7 to 10 minutes, right? Whatever your time is. You're going to get to stay in those rooms for 7 to 10 minutes, okay? And for those 7 to 10 minutes, what you're going to do is you're going to hear about and you're going to learn how those different ministries serve the church and serve our city, and you're going to get a chance to learn about it. After those 7 to 10 minutes are up, We're going to pick you up and we're going to escort you to your next room. And when you go to your next room, you're going to hear about another one, and eventually going to end up back here, and we'll all end up together. All right. And so basically, here's how we did this last year, is that we literally brought people in and we set them in sections. We gave them a number as they came in, and that decided which room they sat in. They went to go sit in a room, and we sent leaders 2 by 2 to each room. And they talked about their ministry and invited people to join their ministry for literally like 4 minutes each. And they said, hey, look, anybody have any questions about how we're making a difference? All right, does anybody see the value of what we're doing and how Jesus would be pleased with the ministry that we're doing, right? As we're serving our youth and young adults or whatever it is. And people would ask questions, people would share, they say, all right, thank y'all so much. Thank y'all for listening. God bless. We'll see y'all in a minute. We'll see y'all later. And then the leaders rotated to the next room and the people stayed where they are. And they heard about different people. And after it was over, I came up, I casted the vision about how we want to be a 167 church and not a 1 hour church. 168 hours in the week. Most churches focus on the 1 hour that we gather for Sunday. We said we want to focus on 167 hours a week throughout the week where we can really make an impact. And so I gave 10 minutes on vision, and then I had commitment cards all throughout the church. I said, hey, listen, I want everybody in this room to fill out one of those cards and let us know which ministry you're interested in serving in. We took those cards, put them in our database, and we had those leaders reach out to those people. And that's how we built our initial teams. We went from a handful of people on those teams to making sure all 5 of those teams were full for our fall push last year. And it made a huge difference. All right. So that's the third thing, is you want to start thinking about planning a vision night, right? And I did ours on a Wednesday night. We did a Wednesday night at 6 or 6:30 or something like that on a Wednesday night. And so we had people come out, and again, we kept them here for 90 minutes and they were gone. So it was super simple, super straight to the point. So that's your third thing I want you to think about for your fall, is hosting a vision night. Keep in mind that this vision night, you're also going to ask your congregation to invite people in the community to come and hear about who we are. This is a seeker-friendly event. This is an event that is great for people who are not a part of your church yet. And so you want to bring them in and invite them. And if somebody who's not a part of your church comes and says, yeah, I want to join a team and I want to serve, say, yeah, awesome. That's great. Bring them in and walk them through whatever your membership process is. All right. So that's your third thing. All right. Vision night. All right. Was that a good idea? Let me know in the chats. Does that work? What are you hearing? What are you thinking? How does that work for you? As I go to the next one, just drop it in the comments in the chat there, how it's working for you. All right. Number four is I want to challenge you to host the Beast Feast. The Beast Feast. All right. This is a super simple idea. All right. I really wanted to use this idea for men, but I've discovered, and I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. Still, the verdict is still out, but I've discovered men are more likely to go to places if their wives are involved. All right. And so it just works better to invite the whole family and target the man while he's there versus just asking the man to come by himself and maybe him not coming. All right. And so one of the things that we wanted to do and our goal is everybody's going to be invited to this, but our goal is to target men, is we're going to do something called the Beast Feast. And really what it's going to be is it's just a cookout with a chance for people to try exotic meats. All right. So you see some of those pictures that I have up there: a bison, an emu, a gator, a camel. You've got ostrich, you've got antelope, you've got rattlesnake, you've got all these different things that people could try that they've never had before. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a team of men who are going to be responsible for it. And I've identified several websites where you can order these different meats here in the US. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to order just, some of a portion of all these different meats. And some of them can be expensive, but I'm going to order a portion of them. And as I order a portion of all these different meats, what we're going to do is that we're going to prepare those meats. We're going to figure out how to prepare them. Well, that team is going to figure out how to prepare them. And we're going to have those on a table label as samples to say, hey, look, this is gator, this is an emu meatball, this is a bison burger, this is whatever, whatever. And that's what we're going to use to really draw people in and say, hey, look, come try out some stuff you've never tried before. And we're going to put some other stuff around that, right? We'll have where people can play games outside. We'll have some games on the inside. We'll have music going. We'll have some different stuff. I'm really considering partnering it with a car show. Because I've heard that a car show is a really simple event that you can do as well. Like there are groups that you can reach out to that already have the connections. They already have all the cars. They already have all the stuff. And so literally just bring them in and say, hey, look, come do a car show at our space. And then they come out, they do the car show in addition to everything else that we're doing with the Beast Feast. And we just have men come out on a Saturday morning and we'll have the games playing inside where they can watch their favorite team play and all this kind of stuff like that, the whole nine. All right. So we're going to do the Beast Feast. And so all we're going to do, and here's all you would need to do for this is number one, create a simple flyer that explains what you're doing, really draws people in. You want to set your goal to pass out 1,000 of these flyers. All right. 1,000 of them you want to get in people's hands. So you go to Walmart, you go to the grocery store, you go to Target, you go to the mall, you go whatever that is for you, wherever people hang out, you go there, and you go there a couple of weeks in a row, and you just pass out flyers and invite people to come to your event, all right? In addition to the exotic meats, you really want to have hot dogs and burgers as your main dishes, all right? And if you want to be really cost conscious and be smart about it, on your flyer, you want to have a QR code for people to register to attend. So you're not shooting in the dark. So you know how many people are planning to come, right? So you can look at that and see, okay, 250 people signed up to come. So in your head, you know, probably 150, 175 are going to show up, right? So you know that's how many people I need to be prepared for, right? And once you do it, now you just invite people to come. That's it. You just invite them to come. And while they're there, you have your team ready to love on them like crazy. Have your team in their church t-shirts or in a badge, walking around, talking to people about themselves. And that's super important. As the families are there, you're walking around and you're getting to know the family. You're not selling the church. You're getting to know the people. And as you get to know the people, they'll ask about you. They'll ask about the church. They'll ask about different things. But you focus in on them and on spending time with them and on having fun with them and on doing things with them and all that kind of stuff like that. That's what you focus in on. And you make that the big thing, the big focus, the big project for the fall to really kind of help engage some people. All right. So I'm giving you these ideas, right? Don't feel any pressure to feel like you have to do all 5 of these, right? I want to give these to you and say, okay, look, you make them make sense for you. Now, I'm going to do all 5 of these because of the 5 ideas that we've shared so far. This is the only one that's going to cost money to do. This is the only one. All the rest of them, they just cost you time and energy and manpower. That's it. All right. And so I really want you to think about that. I do think you can do all 5. All right. I'm going to go for all 5. But I want you to do what works for you. All right. Here's the last one, last but not least. Is I want to challenge you to host a special 5-fold training at your church. A special 5-fold training at your church, right? Now, I'm going to give you some freedom in how this looks. This can be a one-day event on a Saturday morning. This can be an online training group that lasts for 6 weeks. Like, I'm going to give you some freedom in how you do it, all right? But what I'm saying is focus on 5-fold training. When I say 5-fold training, I'm talking about the Ephesians 4 model, where Paul talks about the apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher, right? And I don't teach those as titles. I know that they can be titles, but I teach them as lenses through which we see the world, right? I believe that when Christ gave us those gifts, one of the things that he was showing us is the unique viewpoint of the kingdom that he has given us. Right? He's showing us that I created apostolic leaders to drive the church forward. I created prophetic leaders to keep the churches looking upward. I created evangelistic leaders so that the church is always thinking outwardly focused. I created pastoral leaders so that people are always thinking about being with the people and with the, somebody's always thinking about being with the sheep. And I created teaching leaders so that somebody is always trying to get the truth of the word into the hearts of the people. Like all of those gifts have a directional focus, right? They have a function, right? And so what I want to do is I want to teach people their function in the kingdom. And the reason I want to do this is because we shortchange ourselves in our churches when we make serving in the ministry about either what people want to do or just what we need them to do. We shortchange ourselves and we shortchange the kingdom. What we really want to do is we want to show people how Jesus gifted them to serve. Because if people understand that Jesus called you to serve in this capacity, then they understand that I'm not here to debate with you about whether or not you're going to serve in this capacity. Jesus called you to do this, right? If I called you to do it, when you get mad at me, you can stop doing it. When Jesus called you to do it, this is one of the focuses of your life. And so that's why we want to do this, is that we want people to see how Jesus made them. So many people in our churches are using gifts that Christ gave them to serve the company they work for and to serve their own interests. And everybody is benefiting from that gift except the one who gave it to them. And so what we want to do is we want to show them that Christ gave them these gifts. They think that the gifts came from the world because they're taking DISC tests, or they're doing Enneagrams, or they're doing this other stuff. And they're thinking, oh, it's just my personality, it's my Myers-Briggs, it's all this kind of stuff like that. So when you bring in into the spiritual gifts realm, right, and you do a spiritual gifts test, and I have an APES test that's spiritual gifts focused. So when you bring it here, now what you're saying is, hey, look, I'm showing you how Jesus made you. And so that's what you want to do. You want to show them who God created them to be. And so basic, simple things you want to do is you want to take registrations for this at least 30 days out. You want to give yourself 4 Sundays to talk about this for people to sign up. You know, again, unfortunately, the average person, the average believer right now is attending church less than twice a month. And so, which means that if you only announce anything you're doing for 2 weeks, half the people you lead might not even know about it, unfortunately. And so what you want to do is you want to give yourself a 30-day runway to talk about it, to make sure that you catch everybody, all right? In addition, you want to create a simple workbook, right? And that workbook can be super, super simple, all right? It doesn't have to be extravagant. It can literally be the title of the class on the front, and then the main scripture that you're using each day or for each lesson, with a space to take notes underneath it, right? But you want to have something in their hands, because when a student comes to a class for the first time and you put a workbook in their hands, it does something in their minds that says, I got to come back to finish this. And so it's just a simple little thought process that people go through. And then as people come through the class, you want to connect them to ministry, right? If somebody comes in and they discover they're evangelistic, connect them to ministry. Put flyers in them jokers' hands and say, hey, look, every Saturday, I want you to be responsible for going out with 3 other people to start conversations with people at the shopping center and to invite them to church, right? Like, make them active, like give them those tools. And once you give them those tools, release them to go forward and to start living it out, acting it out, making it happen, and watching God do his thing. All right. So those are the 5 ideas that I have for you: is a church prayer campaign, educators commissioning service, a vision night, a beast feast, and host an APES training. All right. So listen, I'm closing out. Before I do, I want to hear from you guys, man. Was that helpful? Was that a blessing? Which one feels like the most? Well, look, Pastor Anderson has already answered that question. He says, I feel like the 5-fold training is empowering. Awesome. Love it. All right. Which one for you guys? For the other leaders who are on here, which one feels most impactful to you? Which one do you think has the potential to be most impactful or most successful in your church as you think about it? Which one do you feel like will be most impactful for you? Just drop it in the comments right there next to me, next to us, and I'll see it. All right. Real quick, I'll say this, because I know somebody had asked already about this map behind me. What this is is that this is a map of a 1 mile radius around our church, is what this is. It's a 1 mile radius. You see the little light circle right there. It's a 1 mile radius around our church. All right. It's a 1 mile radius around the church. And so what we're doing with this is that I'm telling our church, because sometimes we want to take the city when we haven't taken the neighborhood yet, right? And so this is us saying, let's take our neighborhood. I came onto the pastorate at the church where I am now just a little year and a half ago, and nobody in our church lived in the neighborhood around our church building, our facility. And so I said, all right, we had a huge opportunity right here. We're in a place where you've got downtown Birmingham right here. You've got somewhat affluent, mostly white area right here to our southeast. Right here to the southwest and west is a predominantly Black community and neighborhood. Same thing about north. North is downtown plus kind of an industrial area plus Black community. And so we're in an amazing area. And so now with this map, one of the guys in our church made it for me. And so now I'm going to be using it to plan our events. And so we do stuff. I'm going to be able to circle the area of homes that we're really going to focus on inviting to our church for this event, right? And doing that, all right? And Pastor Hayes said the 30-day was the most impactful for him. Awesome. Well, listen, I'm about to end this now. Once I end this, I'm getting ready to go directly. As soon as it processes, I'm going to upload it into the members area, so you'll be able to go back and watch it and get down into it. But I want to challenge you, man, really right now, start right now thinking about how you're going to make this fall launch impactful. Right now in July, if you start now, you've got all the month of July plus some of the month of August to start planning and getting ready for this stuff. And really, if you just take the last few weeks of July and plan it and get it on paper and get it laid out, that'll be hugely impactful. You don't even have to do all of it right now. Just plan what you intend to do. I don't plan to do the Beast Feast until September or October, right? I'm going to do it in September or October. So I've got plenty of time to plan that, but I do need to go ahead and get the dates on the books so that I can start letting people know about it. I can start promoting it before it's even finished being planned yet, in some ways, right? And so I want you to do that, all right? Listen, I hope this was super valuable for you guys. I am super honored to work with each of you in your churches, and I want to see you take the next step in what God is calling you to do. Don't forget, if you want to have a one-on-one to talk about some things happening in your church, text me, inbox me, message me, send me a support ticket through the membership, whatever way works best for you, let me know. And I look forward to connecting with you and with your team, all right? Love you guys, appreciate you. Hey man, let's go take the kingdom for God. Keep those gears turning. I'll see y'all next Wednesday, and bring your team with you next week. Bring your team. God bless, see y'all next week.